anything else, introduce yourself, Temporal.
Hey everyone, I'm Temporal, and like Spilo said here, I do coach Team Lividosity. I also run my own YouTube channel, Twitch. Primarily for me, you're going to see reviews of organized play. I really like to look at what teams are doing, that kind of thing. So if you want to see pro game reviews, understand how compositions are working, I'm your guy.
Perfect. All right. So Temporal is one of those guys. So I am always on the lookout for more educational research. That is something that I have, as a coach, was the fastest way to get better as a coach was not just to practice coaching, but to actually find different ways, different resources to learn. And Temporal here was one of the best resources I've found in the last 3 months. So I really appreciate all the work you're doing, and hopefully this gets your name out there more, because I definitely think that you belong up there in the top. I'm going to share it with you. So like we kind of see the compositions here, and I do want to note that he is about to make a change. So it looks like Zarya goes to Diva and he goes to Winston.
Okay.
So like, can we just analyze as a Winston player? I guess so. First off, let's discuss the switch to Winston. Do you agree with it? Like, obviously, it looks like the switch to Diva is just made. They're running double snipers, so that makes sense. Hog as well. But do you agree with this Winston switch? Why or why not?
So I would make this Winston switch, but I'd probably encourage my Briggs to get off of Briggs 2 and get onto something that's going to provide a little more, be that Lucio, be that Zen, something different. Briggs isn't going to have a fun time playing into a Reinhardt comp without her own Reinhardt.
And into double snipers. Well, that's going to be difficult.
You got it. So I'm going to make that swap. I'm going to encourage her to. It's ladder. If she doesn't, whatever. And then I'm definitely going to go, you know what? I don't want to play with tanks anymore. If someone has to stall point, I want that to be my Diva, who has a little more armor than I do. I want to be making these snipers' lives hell, because the weakness of this comp over here, well, they're a very strong pickoff comp. The weakness is Widow's never going to play with her tank, and Hanzo is only sometimes going to play with his tanks. So that means you can always, yeah, he'll wander. It's true. But you can definitely find times to go, even if you can't force kills on Widow and Hanzo, you can definitely keep pushing them out, and you can defang their pushes a bit, and hopefully that gives you enough time to farm an EMP, hit an anti-nade, etc.
Right, and my point with Hog wasn't so much that he's a threat to roam, but if you pressure a sniper, Hook is not as effective as a bubble or Matrix or Diva flying into you to discourage you. So the Hog isn't going to do a very good job of protecting either one of these snipers. So you, as a Winston, should have an easier time not playing frontline, because this would shred you. But to do, as you described, the kind of the harass the sniper switch. In terms of his team composition, anything that you'd like to just say off the bat that would adjust his playstyle at all? I mean, it looks like we're playing a little bit more passively with the Ana Widow. Maybe hoping for Sombra to get a hack. Anything else that stands out to you?
I mean, consistent damage is going to be an issue, but that's not really something you can patch over. I think getting on the Winston is the right pick here, even if you might get, in general, more damage out of Ryan. You won't against this comp.
Right.
Low damage, that happens sometimes. You get DPS combinations that you don't love. In my mind, this is probably one of those. If you can ice out your snipers well enough, hopefully your Widow will carry, but there's not a ton you're going to get here. You're really just looking to slow down their pushes enough that your Widow finds a pick, your Sombra farms an EMP, you hit a nade, etc. There's not any particular way I would play into helping this DPS combination, other than lots of location callouts on snipers.
Because they have Hanzo and Widow.
So
positioning here.
I guess they're not here.
Where do we?
Yeah, I don't.
Where do we go?
Okay, so you want to be on high ground, because what you're looking at is their tanks are low ground tanks. Hog can sometimes threaten high ground, but they are looking at low ground tanks, and you don't want to get stuck in a fight with them, whereas you want to deny snipers. So where I'm going to tuck is probably top left there. You can kind of sit with your Winston hanging halfway off.
That's not right. Keep going, sorry.
So on our previous screen, top left, kind of by the crane there, you can hang so that the elevator can't quite see you. Like Winston's hanging almost more than halfway off the edge.
Yes.
So he can be hard to see there, and he can do on platform there. And he can drop behind tanks after they walk in and then get on the squishy backline. Or if a Widow or a Hanzo tries to come up elevator onto platform there, you're already there to deny them. So that's where I default sit. You don't necessarily want to open in the same spot every time, but
Right.
this is first push. Go for it.
Right. Okay. So for those of you guys who don't know, on the other side of this box, just up on the platform, there is the crane that Mr. Temporal described, and there is a spot that you can jump to and just kind of sit there. It might be worth, if you're a hardcore Winston player, logging into a custom game and practicing that landing a couple times so you don't cast yourself into the ICC in a comp game. But I don't think playing point here is the call. I think this exposes us to a lot of poke. Oh, looks like we're adjusting.
Oh, so close.
Unlucky.
So if we land that jump, that's a great place to be. I'm not sure they saw you yet, so I actually think we opened a touch early there. None of the so you have to look at where people's vision are, because that 100% starts to matter. It sure seems like they should see you. They should have checked corners, but if you actually look at the direction all of them are facing and hooks on cooldown, I wouldn't go into this yet, because I want to go into this and work on their squishy backline, not work on their tank. So if they look at me, yes, I drop bubble like our Winston is doing here, and I bubble dance, and then I get out since I've got a second still on leap. But if the tanks didn't look at me and Lucio didn't see me or call me or whatever, I'm just going to let the tanks go by and then get on their Lucio, Anna, Hanzo, whoever's back here, because that's preferable to me. And when I drop my bubble, that's then separating, if their Anna's playing low ground tier like I expect, separating their Anna from their tanks, cutting off the influence from them. That's where I want to be. I want to be forcing their tanks to come, turn around and help, run back after they've already started to come in, because that just gives our Widow more and more time to look for picks, to take easy headshots on Roadhog, etc.
And that's a lot of what being Winston is just holding ground, being annoying, and just surviving it for as long as possible. Looks like we got booped out of our jump there. We got hammered or something.
I think the Rhine swing messed us up there. I think we were jumping up to high ground, which was definitely the play here. That's unfortunate. Maybe we'll go for the Mega and salvage. Okay, we're salvaging.
There you go.
Please don't. No, go around. Oh, okay. So just chill up here, let Roadhog walk in, and then drop on that Lucio or look for a Hanzo or whatever. Like, you don't want to fight heavy tanks front on when you're playing dive tanks, Winston and Diva, into heavier tanks like Reinhardt, Roadhogs, or Zarya. You don't want to fight them straight on. You can fight other dive tanks straight on. You can do tank trading with them. But when you're fighting heavy tanks, you need to abuse the fact that they don't have good mobility by making them turn around a lot and waste time walking back to their backline.
Right. So look for the traffic lighting. Oh, that's the wrong color. Traffic light green. That's the correct call. No red, please. Please stop. No
green is great. I like green.
I think we were trying to block the hook finish combo there. We had the right idea, maybe, but execution was a little bit questionable.
Yeah.
Alrighty.
I mean, we've just got to retake high. Okay, we're going to poke for charge. That's acceptable, I guess.
Seems like we're backing off here, too. Oh, no, they're going high ground.
No. We don't jump at Roadhogs. We do not jump at Roadhogs. Okay, so, like, your Diva's got you covered, so that's nice. But if we're going to dive a Roadhog, we want to make sure that he's already low health or that we're a full dive team. I saw we had a Briggs. We are not a full dive team.
No.
So, like, if we're a full dive team, sure, we can try and punish the Roadhog. He's a little separated. He's only got his Hanzo. Maybe someone else is coming up the elevator. But he can two-shot you. And even your bubble doesn't really help with how Roadhog is. Yes, he's used his hook here, but he doesn't need his hook because you jumped on top of him. Like, we don't do this. The Hanzo's a better target, but you can't fight the Hanzo with the Roadhog standing right there.
No, Hanzo's one of the worst targets one of the worst squishies to jump. Good Hanzos still shred Winston's as well.
Yeah. Maybe they'll revert that buff eventually.
Maybe they will. Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Okay, nice cleave. Finish there. We're going up for the reload, but we're gonna. Oh, but we have Primal. Okay, that's fine.
I think this is the situation. This just feels a little greedy.
So I agree. This is forced. I'm looking at this 93% Primal. So you're confident, or our Winston player is confident that Flaming is confident that he can get Primal here, I have to think, because this looks like a jump to reload. I'd have probably reloaded on the ground and then tried to use the rest of my nano and then jumped out to high ground. That's probably my play, but I'm more conservative. It also would have been acceptable to go, you know what, I'm done, and just leave early and leave out while you're reloading, etc. This is clearly I'm going to force my primal charge up and then get 2 kills, and then try and get kills with it, etc. Sorry, the 2 is coming from the fact that I see we're already up 2 kills,
Right.
so I just don't see the need to do that.
This feels like a quick play. I'm going to go for play of the game kind of a thing.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Right, because especially when we already have our ult here, if once we win the fight, we don't have to force the pursuit here.
Exactly.
We already have ult. We don't need the additional ult charge necessarily, and because we're running snipers, they can already grapple the high ground aggressively and get their own kills without your help, really. So, like you said,
get out, give our Ana 200 health, 200 ult charge, and we're good.
Right. This just, like you said, does feel very forced. So
I do want to talk about primal mechanics here real quick,
absolutely.
because it looks like we're just holding down left click.
Yes, I used to play a lot of Winston, and trust me, I made that mistake so many times.
So that's really not how you use Winston's primal. So until about we'll say high GM top 500 level, what you want to do with Winston's primals if you're trying to get kills with them is you leap onto a target, you hit primal, you knock the target away, and then before the target's landed, but once you can tell where it's going to land, you hit the proper jump. Maybe it's an S jump, maybe it's a W jump, maybe it's a regular jump, whatever. You hit the proper jump, you land on them, and you land on them just after they've landed, and then you left click again to knock them away. You want to be very quick with that left click because you want to hit them before your jump boop has knocked them too far away. But if you're holding left click the whole time, too often you're going to hit them away with your left click and not actually get any landing boop damage. And Winston might not seem like a high damage character when he's in primal, but there's a reason that you see players like Muma, Fisher, etc. Go watch Muma's stream if you're not at all comfortable with this. I find is great with it. His win condition for every single team fight on ladder is, well, I'm just going to farm primal and kill 2 people. And it works. Like, if you're consistently doing it like that, you get enough damage that you can regularly kill supports. You can't necessarily regularly kill Reinhardts and Roadhogs here, but you do want to get very comfortable at leap, hit landing damage, then swing, because you need both. You need the landing damage and the swing to get the damage to be scary out of your Winston. Right. Once we get to top 500 level, the mechanics are different, but I don't think you want us to review that right here.
No, I do want to say one thing, though, in terms of gauging jump distance. If I remember correctly, Primal Rage has a 10% increased movement speed. So that your short jumps, normal jumps, and W jumps are going to be further than your normal non-primal jumps. So you need to take that into account rather when you do decide how far or what type of jump you're going to be using.
So you do want to take that into consideration, and you also want to take into consideration that you don't always have to jump. You want to jump for the damage sometimes, but if you're going after like a tracer, for example, or if you knock someone almost no distance and they're not against a wall, so your jump would send you too far, that movement speed buff is pretty serious, and you can use that to get on top of your target, and then you'd leap again before your 2 seconds were back on your cooldown, so it can be worth it.
Okay, perfect. So it looks like just kind of brawling around here, mashing, and fight's cleaned up, I suppose. So
we'll call it a win.
Sure. All right. So let me pull back
here. Bubble. Oh. Okay. So the hook's already been thrown. The hook isn't threatening you. What all this is blocking is non-optimal distance Roadhog right clicks and Lucio spam as best I can tell. So we're like, this bubble is just blocking some non-threatening chip damage, and it totally takes away our ability to make a play for the next 13 seconds, 12 seconds.
And I think people forget this. Like, that's a long time. That's a long time. Like,
used to be even longer, but yes, it is for. Okay, sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
It's an eternity, and the other team knows that you can't make plays. You can't go, hey, I'm going to try and make a play to try and solo your Ana, or I'm going to tie up your Ana and Lucio, or I'm going to challenge your Hanzo to a real duel until you have that bubble back. So you can be kind of annoying, but you can't really make any plays for your team. You can't quote unquote carry. You can't do anything spectacular without your bubble here. You can just be a little annoying. And that's a pretty serious downgrade. Like, if they have everyone up, and I don't think they do right now because we did just hit kills there, they're going to push while your bubble's still on cooldown, and that's a problem. So here, it's not the end of the world, but it's a terrible habit. You want your bubble you want to be very specific with what your bubble is blocking. You're looking to block abilities. You're looking to cancel specific things. You can get into the habit of every time you press tab or the first time you press tab when you swap to Winston, look at them and go, what are the most important things for me to block with my bubble? And yeah, exactly. You can look at the 6 heroes and go, what are the most important things for me to block with my bubble? And Roadhog Hook is really high on that list. So is Anna Sleep Dart. Then we'd probably run into Earth Shatter, then Storm Arrow. That's probably the order of things I'd consider right here. So if I'm not blocking one of those, and we'll throw Animate on there too. So if I'm not blocking one of those 5 things, I'm going to question whether the bubble's worth using. Like, I'm really looking for those things.
Right. Okay, so we've seen the cooldown used. We're clearly in pre-fight, between-fight situations, so we're using a cooldown that we could definitely potentially use in the next 10 seconds, and we're not going to have it, so... Alrighty. What do you think about this positioning right here?
There.
Oh, we did.
So I think this yeah, they just swapped onto Genji.
Yeah, there you go.
So that doesn't really change it. Harassing Genji is going to be a similar tier of importance to harassing Widow. It's just where Genji is going to change a little bit. So we'll turn around a little more often than we might have before. I think this positioning is just fine. This is a perfectly fine place to chill out. I wouldn't want to open here every single time, but this is okay with me.
Okay. All right. So I'm curious to hear the call here.
Kind of given away the I liked this better when it was like, hey, maybe it's a secret. I don't like constantly.
I think what happens here, I think Ana calls a nade.
Oh, okay. If she calls a nade, you can believe that your Diva's going to commit with you. Briggs might commit with you. Yeah, so Diva
so they go for the EMP.
Go
There's the EMP as well. Okay.
Makes sense to me. Hit the melee. Good.
Could probably kill that, yeah. Unlucky.
Well, with better leap control, we could kill that. But that's okay. It was the right play to make, and it doesn't matter if you die here. Like, you'd like to live and give your healers low charge, but going for this doesn't hurt, because even you dying, you're going to spawn back on top of the point. Like, it's kind of the rule of you can keep pushing. If you are up, if you got a kill within the last 10 seconds and your total numbers are up, you can keep pushing. Like, your team could even continue to keep pushing up to their spawn right now. They won't, because this is plat, but that's fine. I mean, reality.
No, it's true. It's true. It's like that. We have to get 7 on payload, guys. All 12 of us. Everybody everybody on payload. Alrighty.
We'll throw Bob and a turret on it, too.
Yeah, right. Anything and everything needs to get payload.
So this is... I don't love this.
Oof.
Ooh,
Oof.
okay.
Oof.
Ooh!
It went from bad to worse.
That was like a bad leap to a terrible leap. Okay, so if we go back here just a little bit, we didn't really need to rush our leap to come out here, but then remember, we want to be on high ground. Like, everything screams, let's be on high ground, because if we get slept on high ground, we're safe. If we're on high ground, we can break hooks more easily. If we're on high ground, Ryan can't brawl with us. If we're on high ground, we can choose when to engage and, drop on a Genji that's maybe going on our Ana back on high ground. Like, everything about being on high ground is good, and everything about being on low ground is bad at this point. And that's why Volskaya second is a pretty great Winston point, because there's high ground all around the point here. So right now, to Winston's left and to Winston's right are both totally fine places to be, or platform. Platform's fine too, but yeah, I was talking the direct left and right now. I'd have preferred to be in either of those spots, personally. I don't know that when our player came back that there was time to take platform. I think that jump might have been, these left and right, I think that's good. I think if you go in for platform, there's the potential of, hey, your team can't really support you yet, and they're already too far in.
Right.
I'd have preferred to already be on platform, but the reality of, hey, we're coming back from respawn says we can't get there.
Right. Okay. So, utilizing the high ground, getting there as soon as possible. It's a lot easier to drop from high ground and then use your mobility to jump back onto high ground, rather than, using your escape mechanism as an attack mechanism when you're diving by yourself. Because this is exactly what this is. We're by ourselves here.
So if we are going to hit this leap, even just a more minor thing, land on the box here. So if we land on the box, we still can't get hit. Yeah, that box right there. It's still a tiny bit of high ground, and that might not seem like much, but we can press W to drop behind it. We can't be pinned by Reinhardt's charge while we're up there. Like, the box still gives us a slight minor advantage that I think is worth more. This is a little more debatable, but I think that's worth more than the jump pack damage that we're going to get on a couple targets.
I think people overestimate the jump pack damage, or at least when it comes to executing these solo dives. I think it's important, but you never want to prioritize jump pack damage over good positioning and good decision making. especially when you're jumping into tanks, because that it becomes almost negligible. When instead it simply would have been better to drop, and yes, you don't have that jump pack damage, yes, but you are able to save your life. Whereas once you commit that jump, you're done. So, oh dear.
I mean, I can't hear sound, but unless he heard the dragon ahead of time,
All right. Well, let me turn it up a little bit. I don't think. No,
it doesn't really matter. The jump was bad regardless,
right.
But like the dragon isn't our player's fault.
Right.
It's just the jump was bad regardless.
Okay. So we do get 2 kills.
No. Okay, team doing some work. Yes, Dan the Hanzo. That's fine.
Hey, all right.
I think that bubble was maybe a touch early because when he hadn't used the Hanzo, as far as I knew, hadn't used his self leap or storm arrow yet. And again, when we talk about things, you're not in any danger of dying as Winston here. You're at 500 health, so like wait till he uses leap and you need to use it because your health is in danger or because he pops storm arrow. Like these guys weren't going to kill you. Even if they hit a headshot and a Rhine swing, you're not in danger. You still have a chance to drop your bubble and get your kill there, and they were both so low health. So again, now this bubble's on cooldown. Really, you getting hit was just kind of like more ult charge for your supports, but I don't really care about that. Again, it's there might be more pursuit kills that you can go get that now you can't get because you don't have.
I think, as you said earlier, it's not so much that it's a huge error that hurts you right now. It's just a demonstration of a bad habit that we have. I mean, nobody's going to break this bubble. This bubble's going to remain unbroken. One thing that I always like to say is that you don't bubble until you need to, unless you're going against cooldowns that'll mess you up, like sleep, nade, things like that. Some of those you have to be a little bit more preemptive about your bubble usage. But against a Stormbow, you can wait for him to pop Stormbow. Wait for him to land a headshot. You get 250, 300 HP. Then you use your bubble. That way you're guaranteeing that, hey, I need this for sure. And then you're blocked.
You're guaranteeing that you...
Go ahead.
You're guaranteeing that you need it for sure, and also since you've already taken that 250, 300 damage, you're giving your healers some chance to catch up on you, the same way a Reinhardt would give his healers a chance to catch up. If you drop the bubble when you're at full health, even if he storm arrows it down, well, your healers just kind of been twiddling their thumbs that whole time. Not really, they've been taking offensive shots, etc., but they could have gotten more value catching you up real quick.
Right, it's the same reason why I get annoyed when I see Zarya's, except for like obvious damage like Junkrat spam, but Zarya's going into these brawls and just instantly popping personal bubble at 400 HP. They're not. There's no guarantee that they're the target of focus. They're not, guaranteeing charge. And as you said, a really good point is you're not giving your healers opportunity to have that safe time basically to heal you up while you are bubbled. That time is no longer there. So, okay. Looks like he managed to hold on. A little bit of an over jump, but I'm
just going to trust that he was trying to land out the box, and I'm going to say bravo.
Beautiful. Exactly what we needed. Well, that bubble was legendary right there. Alrighty.
Okay, so now I'd consider a different spot, because now we've been here 2 or 3 times, and while I do think it's probably one of the best hold spots, I'd probably consider, now if your Widow's going to play here, you have to play here. I take it back.
Yeah. Alrighty. We're going to skip forward just a tad. They're making... is there a swap there? Yeah, so the Hanzo goes Widow. Not a whole lot to say, I guess, in that regard. It's easier for us to deal with Widows than it is to deal with Hanzos. Not a whole lot we can really do here, unless there's an actual target to pursue.
No, they're just not going to push during eyes, and that's fine.
Yep. Alrighty. What do you think about that?
I think pushing back the Lucio was fine. We got the kill, so ultimately it's not the end of the world here. I'm still not convinced that we needed this bubble quite yet, but it's a Roadhog right in your face, so the reaction of drop bubble to block the potential hook, I'm not really going to complain about that.
Right. If there's anything but a Roadhog here, probably a bad decision. But because of the Roadhog, it's not a bad decision.
Right.
Okay. Do you pursue here? Would you?
Well, now I turn and kill the Genji.
Yeah.
Because we just saw the Genji, I turn and kill the Genji. With this like this, I'm not strictly against pursuing because I believe I've still got my Widow back here offering cover fire, and my Diva was up here last I checked too. So I can go and say, hey, Diva, let's go. Let's take this Roadhog. I probably am not going to go deep. I could go leap over to Truck here and try to pressure out the back line there. I can't tell who that is. But honestly, I'm probably not going to do that. I'm probably instead going to drop, take the angle kind of behind pipes here and pressure out the Roadhog with Diva. But I do need some at this point. I'm not willing to do that if I'm not sure that my Diva is going to follow me. So if my Diva and I have been syncing up all game, absolutely I'm on it. If my Diva's been leaving me hanging, by the way, your Diva has been protecting you decently this game. I'm probably willing to do that, but I am going to get on comms for it because that's not a pursuit I'm willing to go for alone. But as soon as I see this Genji dash in, he's my target.
Right. This nano is pretty funny. We're up to 2 CP. Let's nano at full HP.
Absolutely. Oh, man. Oh, it was Primal too.
Please, no. No, you didn't.
We need this dagger. We need this dagger so bad now.
Oh, no. Please, though. Okay, so, I mean, I feel like this should be fairly obvious, but could we just submit why this is a bad decision?
Okay. So we're up when we hit that nano, but we can't control the nano. But then the nano gets hit and you go, yeah, whatever, we killed the Genji. Now we're up by at least 2 here, so we're more than fine. And going after the tanks with the nano, that's totally fine. Like, you're up 2, go up, get your stagger kills like we talked about. Your Diva should protect you. I see your Widow back there. Things are golden in that front, but even if they kill you, it doesn't matter, and they were never going to kill you because you're a nanoed 500 HP target. Like, unless Hog just goes off, you're totally fine.
Fully 500 HP. That hurts. That stings.
But even if they were going to kill you, it's still not worth the Primal here because you have kills recently enough that you're just emptying your ult bank, and 2 CP is all about the ult bank. Like, that's 2 CP.
Having this Primal to be able to go in deep next fight and just basically solo the Widow regardless of the support she has, and just be a general disruption in the backline while your team deals with whatever ults they're gonna throw at you. But we're just basically saying, oh, I don't need Primal next fight and potentially the fight after that, and that's a gamble. It's a big gamble. So
no. My preferred way to use Primal in this is definitely going to be either go solo the Widow or go force a kill onto the Ana. Like, either one of those probably ends the push. You can almost definitely solo the Widow whenever you want, as long as you don't do it once you're already down players.
Right. Okay, well, 232 in here. That's 2 ults down. Our Diva is going pretty deep. It's like you feel this confidence that kind of flows. This happens a lot of the times in lower tier games where it's like, hey, we've been getting picks. Let's just hold outside their spawn. The problem is we're not fully committed to it, and we're kind of in this limbo. Like, we're kind of playing aggressively, but not really. And the problem with our positioning here is if we get picked, here or here, I'm not really talking to our Winston so much as our Diva. Is they're close enough to where they can punish and take advantage of that spawn. Like, if we're spawn camping here, not that I recommend that, but at least you'd have a chance of a recontest on respawn. So
Sure. I agree, but we can't really control our Diva, and I don't think his movement. He was in a place where he could drop a bubble to help our Diva if he had to, but he wasn't in himself. So I actually think his reaction to his Diva's play was pretty.
I agree. All right, checking this out. This is another early EMP, but it seems like what's called, and we do go in for it. Yeah. So, oh my gosh, that's quite satisfying.
So I don't hate this EMP. I actually like this.
No.
Like,
I'm laughing at the little spray teabag we got going on here. Houston Outlaws. Speaking of,
so I think the teabag and the spray are great. Now, like, I know that's a toxic thing of me to say, but we just went in hard and punished them with Nano and Primal when we totally didn't have to as defenders. And then we killed them before they were even ready to push with EMP, and then we sprayed and teabag. We're in, let's put them in full tilt mode here.
Yeah.
And that might not be a nice thing to do, but that can win you more games. So since you
it's true.
messed up, since you already kind of messed up and over-ulted last fight, killing them early with an overpowering ult this fight, like it's kind of like spawn camping, where it gives you that mental advantage of like, why can't we even get it out of our spawn, etc., etc.
And as anybody who spent any time in ladder knows that tilt mindset applies to teams so quickly. People get frustrated so quickly. I just found it funny because we had just talked about Muma, and here we go, you know? We got the Houston Outlaws spray. All right.
So I don't hate this, but you do have to be aware now that your ult bank is super empty. You hoping that investment was worth it for like mental reasons if the opponent is going to play worse now, and it very well could be. Oh, I love it.
The sleep boop. Let's go, man. All right. So the tilt bank grows while our ult bank grows smaller. Our tilt bank just grows bigger, right?
No. Body block for your Widow, yes. Bubble for her, no.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. I noticed that I did an Overwatch World Cup, and I noticed analysis, and I noticed that a lot of the time, I believe Fury was not using Matrix to allow Carpe to take duels. He was just body blocking. Now they were running an Ana, which makes more sense because any damage the D.Va takes is going to be a lot easier to heal up than it would be if you're running like Zen Mercy. But it was interesting that they were not even willing to devote half a second of Matrix to a duel. They would rather use the body block.
So the body block's nice because it does farm the ult charge. I don't know the exact situation. I'd have to go back and look. Like, I don't know if there were concerns of, hey, if I put Matrix on its half-second internal cooldown, are we going to get hit with like a blizzard or a grab or something like that? I don't know the situation without looking. But back in the Mercy meta, that was very much the thing. You wanted your tanks to like farm damage body blocking for your snipers because the faster Valk won, and we were in the height of like a Widow Mercy meta then. So
PTSD over here.
I know. I'm less sure on, hey, is that really the most fantastic idea? Like, I think using a single tick of Matrix is fine, but you know, you probably don't want to use that tick of Matrix if you aren't at full Matrix. If you're down half a second Matrix or a second Matrix already, then yeah. And body blocking isn't wrong. Like, you're not in any danger.
Right. Okay.
Speaking of Matrix, we're taxing our Diva's Matrix pretty hard here, but it's not us that's doing it.
You're right.
Oh, and now she won't be able to eat that. Yeah.
That was an interesting jump. We almost landed it, but do you think it was worth it? Do you think that
see, given that we ultimately see the hog through there, no, because we can't go threats in that with the hog there. We just can't do it. I'd have preferred the probably easier jump onto the window to the left of him right there, and then you can still use that. You can use cover with the wall. It doesn't have the elevators that you constantly have to hop over, so I just take that easier jump, quite frankly. It's almost as good from a threatening them perspective, but I don't hate this. Like, if he had hit this, I don't hate this, but then he's going to see the hog and have to drop.
Oh, dear.
Okay, so now we're going to want that EMP back real bad.
Yeah, we're going to want that Primal, too. Yikes. Alright, we do get a kill with a bomb. That's good. Just gonna jump in. Alright, so what do we got here? There's the Primal. We do get a Primal. We get another kill on the Genji as well. That's good.
But the problem is, so here's the thing with this Primal. Are we focusing a target? Can we rewatch this Primal?
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool. So we're doing this. We get down. It's a 260 HP Primal. Okay, so we can try to kill this Reinhardt. It's doable, but it's going to be hard with the Moira on top of him.
Right.
But we can knock him away and try and force a kill. Or we can go try and kill someone else. The problem, so we have two on point. Who's our buddy on point right now? Do we happen to know? Is that our Lucio? No, our Lucio's dead.
Thank you. I'm trying to see here. I know Ana is still alive.
Okay, so
it might be Sombra? That's an Ana. I don't know. That looks like Ana Sombra, maybe.
Okay, I can work with that. So I want to yell at my Sombra to hold point, and I want to try to use this Primal for kills. If I use this Primal for stall, maybe it contributes and get our quote-unquote snowball going, and we can stall this down to 0, and that's a win of sorts. But if we actually want to win this and not let them cap, we have to get kills with this Primal, and we cannot get kills with this Primal if we lock ourselves to the point and use it as a stall Primal.
Right.
So, like, My huge preference would be, hey, let's go kill this Moira, because 10 seconds of Primal is totally enough to do that.
Mhm.
And even if with her having Fade, even with her having a second support helping her a little bit, like, you can totally force that kill as long as someone else controls point. And you had your D.Va back, so yeah, this was, I mean, you got your D.Va back late, but you had your Sombra, and then your D.Va shows up. That was doable, and that's what I would have preferred to see out of that Primal. It's going to be hard to win back in now. Maybe we got it because we did get that Rein kill. He didn't get healed back up all the way. That chaos was enough for the kill to happen, but it's higher probability in general to force a kill with Primal yourself on a squishy than to make chaos and hope your team can do something.
I think it's important too to think about, like, how much am I going to be disrupting on a Reinhardt with Primal? It's going to be difficult to disrupt the Reinhardt from doing his job as much, whereas even if you don't kill the Moira, if you could zone the Moira back to choke, and just not, like, that she's not healing and she's not going to be able to support her team at all. It's a similar kind of situation where we say if we could zone out the Widow as Winston, even if we don't get the kill, the Widow just kites us all the way back. At the very least, we've removed her from the fight. Whereas if we're just generally just running around smashing on point, yeah, we're being a little bit annoying to everybody, but we're not really taking one player out of the fight. We're just kind of being there and doing things. But okay, that's an interesting EMP. All right, 30 seconds.
So take high ground space.
Mm-hmm.
They get a real push, but you can make this push expensive because they have to push to point, so you want to just tax them on the way back. You see they swapped into triple DPS, and none of their DPS get any value out of their Reinhardt. So
this feels
Reinhardt,
early. This feels early.
4 seconds left. That's going to catch 3 people with that EMP.
Yeah.
If we go a second later, we can catch 4.
Yeah.
Oh, we can catch 5. Okay, got it. Can still, yeah. I mean, I'd have preferred to let them in. The reality is, you have EMP, you're going to wipe them if you execute the EMP properly. But unless we're calling the EMP timing, that's not really on the player we're reviewing.
Right.
So.
That's true. That is true. Okay, so we're gonna go back and peel. That's fine. Moira's gonna die, and this looks like this is just...
Kill on Moira should pretty much end it, but they also have Anna, so you want to make sure Anna dies.
All right.
Good.
See if I think that's about it here. Yeah, we're still gonna go back to Rein. Let's stick with our Winston here. So, like, we have been pretty in depth, and we touched on a lot of topics with this player's Winston. If there's any, like, 2 things that you could say, whether it's ability usage, positioning, analyzing what the team's learning, what would you tell him to look at?
So spending too much time fighting heavy tanks as Winston, I noticed there's like, hey, you're fighting the tanks in the choke, or you're jumping into the ball of tanks, etc. So you don't want to fight tanks as Winston unless they're other dive tanks. You want to work on those squishy targets. Winston is a strong duelist. He's at his best when he's fighting those Widowmakers, those Annas, those Genjis, etc. The other thing I'd probably go into, because it's tough. I could talk about primals, but I think I'm instead going to talk about bubble usage.
Okay.
You might not be getting punished for that now, but really think about, hey, I want to use these bubbles to block specific things. And I want to do my analysis ahead of time as soon as I see what the opponent's comp is of what am I looking to block with bubbles. If you're up against something like goats, you go, oh, there aren't very many things to block. I can probably mostly use it to block damage. But against most comps, there's going to be an important couple things to block. And you want to really be going, if my bubble's not blocking one of these 3-4 things, I better be darn sure that I'm getting good use out of it. So those are probably the things I'd go with. And then if I put a 0.3, it would be, hey, primal mechanics. But I think these 2 are more important.
I would agree with that. All right. Well, thank you so much, Mr. Temporal. We will send this over to our friend, and I'm sure he'll appreciate it. So if you guys didn't already know, we talked about earlier in the stream, Temporal is the head coach for Lividosity, the contenders, hopefully, team. And he has got some excellent resources on both Twitch and YouTube. I believe you stream on Twitch and you put it on YouTube. Am I right?
Yeah, generally I'll premiere my videos on Tuesday at 6 p.m. Pacific on Twitch, and then they'll go up later that evening on YouTube.
Perfect.
So if you want to catch me live because you have questions, find me on Twitch. If you just want my content, it's all there on YouTube. So there you go.
Okay,
anyway, it's been great.
Thank you so much, Temporal. I just threw your stuff in the chat, so if anyone's interested, you guys can check him out there. So anyway, thank you so much, Temporal. We really appreciate it.
Thank you. Have a good stream.
You too. You too, I say, as if he's, well, you know, when he does stream, he'll have a good stream, right? All right, so I missed a lot of chat. You guys are going to have to be